What you're looking at is one of the most valuable things in electronics, and it's wire. Because there's people that are orbiting the Earth that scrap wire. So in other words, if you let a roll of wire sit too long, somebody will glom it, take it, it'll become swag, and it'll be stripped and sold for copper. Now most wires are copper. Sometimes you strip them back and they have a silver look to them. That's tin plated. That's so you can solder it, okay? But it's still, most of the time, it's going to be copper. Now, one of the places to still get wire would be an old AT computer. You'll get wires like this, multiple colors. You can see this has been picked pretty good. This is the motherboard connection. All right, that wire, I don't throw it out. I still got 2 wires on there. Now, this bin of wires is what I use to make projects. Now, this wire here comes from a printer. Okay, this is actually in a spring. It goes back and forth on the print head. Okay, multiple colors. Nice. It's still pretty good. It's kind of thin. It's probably 22 gauge. Now remember, as the number of the gauge goes up, the wire gets thinner. Don't be one of those knuckleheads that goes around saying the opposite. But one of my favorite wires to collect are, and they're not even in this bin, but this one just happens to be, even power. Okay, the old AT, there's 4 colors here. Okay, and this went on the back of the power switch. Save that. Like I said, I can build projects from just this bin alone. And then I have spools of wire. I'm not going to show you those spools of wire. It doesn't do you any good because you can't buy it anymore. You used to go to Radio Shack and for $2.59, you get a roll of wire, maybe 25 foot, and it was copper. And when you stripped it back, it was tinned, and it was made for soldering. And you can't do that anymore. Okay. Now this wire here, this used to come on a roll. You could get this any Home Depot places, like it was Channel and Rickles. They're gone. So is this wire. I use this wire. I think this might have been some kind of intercom wire, but they would sell this, and I use this for model trains. All right, because the model train wire at the hobby shop was ridiculous in price. So you could buy 5 times the amount. Okay, for 5 times the amount for 1/2 the price at Lowe's and not Lowe's, Channel Lumber and Rickles. They're gone. So is that. But another wire, you'll see. Here's a nice bundle of it, and this is called station wire, and it comes in a real 1-inch diameter gray coated wire, and you cut it back with a razor blade, and out come pairs of wires, and they're all different colors. And when you strip this wire, it works really good with the wireless proto board, like back there. See that wireless proto board? Okay, this you can still get really expensive and heavy, and this is basically telephone wire. It's called station wire when it's the big thick piece that goes in the ground between terminals in your neighborhood, which nobody uses anymore. Okay, but if you're digging that up, get yourself some. Okay, run over there and talk to the guy. Here's another wire I saved. This has got 3 colors and a shield. Okay, this is the wire that goes between the AT computer and a CD-ROM drive. Save that. Don't start saving computers. Open them up. Take the wire out, cut it, and throw the rest of the computer out. Don't become a hoarder. Oh, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get the wire out of that. You never will. Trust me, you won't. I just wanted to show you, this is just my go-to bin. When I'm building something real quick, I have multiple colors in here. And you notice it's got some shrink tubing on the end. As soon as this gets used for something, and I take the project down, I cut the wires out and put them back in this bin. Okay? Oh, and you can still get speaker wire. Don't overlook speaker wire. Comes in, basically, if you look at the wires real close, they're copper, and one's got a slight silver, a couple silver threads running through it, and that's your positive and your minus. For your phasing, it doesn't matter. You can hook the speaker up backwards. What will happen is the centering of the person's voice will be off to the right or to the left, depending on which way you did it wrong. The singer will be dead center when the balance control is in the middle, if you got the speakers phased correctly. That's a quick thing. You know, a lot of people say, well, I can't tell the minus and the plus. You got to look real careful at the wire. And then, you know, I save this stuff now. This is just a single strand. It's like zip cord. You can strip it back and get a single wire out of it. And it's very, I'd say this is 18 gauge, okay? But for higher conductors, for higher current, here's a thinner. This is 2 conductors, speaker wire. Like I said, this is my go-to bin. I kick and scream if I have to go and get a roll of wire. And this is like something, you buy something on eBay, and in the box, somebody throws in a little piece of wire. And that's what this actually came with, something I bought. And wire is becoming harder and harder to find. And what you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's is, I think they still sell Cat 5 wire. And it's got 4 conductors of stiff, very tiny, use it for proto boards. But I do believe they have Cat 5 wire yet. And they have doorbell wire, and it'll be 4 colors, 3 or 4 colors, and you buy the roll, and it's pretty thick copper. And then what you have to do is you got to unwind the wires from each other, unravel them, and then straighten them out as you're running the wire through your hands, pull on it. It's single conductor wire, copper, and then re-spool it. Okay, that's what I was using for to make some coils, large coils for radios. I was buying some doorbell wire. Okay, it's getting harder and harder to find wire. All right, but like I said, if you start pulling printers out of the garbage to get the wire, don't just put the printer somewhere. Okay, open it up, because a lot of times the new printers hardly have any wire at all. So you got all these printers, and now you want to do a project. Now you're off on a tangent. Instead of building the project, you're taking printers apart, finding out there's really not that much copper in the newer ones. They use like ribbon cables and stuff. But years ago, you know, they had a spring in there, and inside the spring was a wire. It was this set of wires. You can see I stole already from this one. But when you're building projects, it's very nice to have multicolor wires. And you got to plan ahead on some of the projects. Okay? Just want to tell you real quick. I see a lot of the videos on YouTube, and they don't really get down to brass tacks on anything. You know, the guy shows you a project he built. He does this. Ooh, I sort of show you my project. I explain it to you how it works. I tell you the names of the stuff you got to go look for. I want you to do a little work, okay? Because that's what I used to do as a kid. I would hear about a certain project, and then I had gotten a subscription to Pop Electronics. For a couple of years, I saved those magazines because they do a repeat. In other words, Crystal Radio set, if you got a subscription for 2 or 3 years of Pop Electronics, you had several kinds of Crystal radios in those magazines. Now, those magazines don't exist anymore if you want to get a subscription, but they're all available online for free. Okay, there's an American Archive. Go find it. Go look through the projects. Okay? But you're going to find a lot of projects. You're going to end up on eBay for the parts and the wire. I'm telling you right now, start gathering your wire. You get those clowns from those foreign countries that solder all the parts together to each other. You know, that's called on soldering, tack soldering. It's called. It's not recommended. All right, but he tack solders the parts together. A lot of times it's faked. Okay, but I wanted to tell you the honest truth about wire. Okay, it's getting rare because it can be scrapped. Okay, it's a commodity. This is copper. Okay, copper goes up and down. Sometimes copper, I do believe it goes to $2 a pound. Okay, so if you think, well, I'm going to ride around at night on garbage night and get me some wire out of the garbage, good luck with that. You'll pull up on stuff, and the line cords will be snipped off. Vacuum cleaners, fans. Watch Taco Stacks. He'll mention sometimes that the scrapper got out ahead of him, and all the fans, all the microwave ovens, the line cord's been cut off it. Okay, now that's really thick wire. It'd probably be this gauge or thicker. Okay, but like I said, this was the wire that went on the AT computer to the power switch. There were 4, and even the power switches were unique and beefy. I got them in a bin, labeled. Okay, some of the parts you can reuse, but most of the time a printer has the most garbagey parts in it. Uh, they're most of them are like flexible cables in it, and it's very thin plastic. And when you push the buttons to set the microwave or whatever these projects, the printer, it's just two pieces of contacts, and they touch. You can't really remove the switches and use them in a project. It's a strip, and the switches. One switch goes bad, the whole strip is no good. Nobody sells the replacement part. The printer or microwave oven ends up in the garbage. The hobby's changed so much. Now, I watched the hobby start off in the 50s. You know, there was guys doing radios earlier than that. And my dad used to say, you know, they used to put schematics for radios in the Sunday paper. That's when it was at its peak. Okay? Every guy after World War II, he was going to mix his own cement, and he did. He was going to put his own roofing shingles on, and he did. Okay? And then he would repair his own car. Okay, over the years, cars got harder to repair. Most people don't like going on a roof to do shingles anymore. They don't have that buddy that comes over and is not afraid to climb on the roof. Everything's going the same way. Now, I just went out for my mail, and my neighbor come up, and he's complaining that there's too many rentals in the neighborhood now. People don't want to buy a house. Young people don't want to be saddled by a house, okay? But what they don't realize, once you own the house for like, say, 5 years, what you're paying per month becomes less than what you rent it for, okay? And now you start putting money aside. They don't care about putting money aside. All they care about is the cell phone, and that's what's killing all the hobbies, okay? People text each other about stuff they're never gonna do, okay? I caught on to all this, and I'm just doing this video for somebody out there that might say, you know what, I might get into electronics. I'll start saving wire, okay? And in the long term, you can take the wire down to the scrap yard, and this would be considered dirty copper. They weigh this and they give you a certain amount of money for it, okay, if you never use it. But don't start collecting printers and computers, because what happens is some places in the country, you're going to have to pay to get rid of them, okay? And if you collect them and then die, you're going to stick it to your family, because they're going to bring a special dumpster in there, and then they're going to put the computers in there. Then they're going to go to a recycling center. The guy's going to make the money with the dumpster, and then the guy recycling them is going to make money, okay? So watch what you do. Electronics is a hobby. It's dying. It's dying. There's less and less people. That's why Radio Shacks closed down. It wasn't because they didn't know how to sell stuff anymore. Go look at an old Radio Shack catalog. They're all online, and you could turn 10 pages of record changers, okay? I was doing it the other day. It was like 10 pages of record changers that you could buy through Radio Shack. And yes, there are people that use record changers, but not like back in 1974, okay, before CDs came out. All right? Things keep changing. Everything's changing. All right? You go to the store and you just want hookup wire. You used to be able to go buy it. You went into Channel Lumber. You went up into the lighting section. In there, you could buy ballast for fluorescent lights. You could buy starters. Okay? All that's changed. Your fluorescent light goes bad. You gut it and you put in a replacement LED package. Okay? In the old days, you could change just a starter. All right? That's all changed. Oh, and on and off switches. Oh, man, I can't tell you how many on and off type switches you could buy in Channel Lumber. All right? No, I think you could buy the ones that go in the wall plate, in the wall. Those you can buy, and maybe they'll have a bat handle type switch in there, if they do have that. It's always ratty. You turn it on and off a few times, it feels like it's going to break in your hand. Stuff is getting crappier, and it's becoming more rare. So, like I said, in a pinch, you can use speaker wire, if you can locate that. When I first moved here, my Walmart sold speaker wire and television wire. They was 58. Anyway, so they sold television wire, speaker wire, and telephone wire. Now you go in there, No. Okay? And that's telling you, 15 years is a long time ago. And it was very sparse back then. You know, they sell what sells in the store. They don't they don't try to do what they used to do. Years ago, they would carry a product that someone might buy once in a while. That's how you go out of business. Okay, if you want to make money, you only stock the shelves with stuff that people want. You don't want them coming in the store and finding an empty shelf because you have spools of wire down the back of the store that someone might buy. And that's how my friend's hardware store was going. They would come in and bitch and moan that he wouldn't refill a glass jug with turpentine for them. And he says, I sell it in cans. Well, I don't need the can. I have the bottle right here. And my friend says, I'm not paying the insurance anymore. Because he has to pay the insurance for you to walk in and not drop the bottle and cut yourself, and walk out and not cut the bottle and spill it and set his store on fire. So he has turpentine in a plastic jug or a metal can. That's the way it was going. And people would stand there and argue with him. Well, I came here just a few months ago. Of course, they were nuts because Mrs. Schaefer was dead 10 years. But in their mind, I was just here. Mrs. Schaefer sold me a gallon and it was real cheap. I went, well, Mrs. Schaefer's dead 10 years. No, she's not dead 10 years. It's fun stuff, okay? I've been around it. I had two friends that own hardware stores, and I got to see the public, okay? And I would talk to him about certain things, and he'd say to me, my one friend, you want it? Take it. You can have it. He says, I'm not going to carry it anymore. He says, you're the first person to ask for that in 5 years. And I would take it, and I'd get it home, and I'd use it. And then when I need another one, good luck, okay? Yep. Go on eBay. You find yourself on eBay so much now. That's what's killing my hobbies. Every time I need something, I got to go on eBay. I think that's it. All right, that's it.